My beloved, before we talk of silver and gold, before we whisper the word millionaire, let us pause and bow our heads before the throne of the Almighty. Father, we thank you. We thank you for breath in our lungs, fire in our spirits, and vision in our souls. We ask for your mercy to rain down on us, your grace to lift us higher, and your wisdom to teach us what riches truly mean. When God begins his sacred work in your life, he does not rush to fill your hands with treasures you cannot yet hold. Instead, he starts with the very soil of your being, your heart. For what good is gold if the vessel that holds it leaks? What use is a mansion if the spirit within it is hollow? My beloved, hear me well. When the Creator prepares you for abundance, he digs deep into the chambers of your soul, sweeping out bitterness, washing away envy, and polishing your inner walls with grace. He knows that no riches of earth can endure unless the heart is trained to steward them with wisdom and humility. I have seen men who counted their wealth in millions but could not buy peace enough to sleep through the night. I have seen women adorned in jewels yet aching with loneliness that no diamond could comfort. You see, money without a sanctified heart is a crown placed upon a restless mind. It shines brightly but presses down heavily. But when God takes his time to shape your heart, he is preparing you not merely to have riches but to hold them rightly, to carry them without breaking, to use them as tools rather than chains. God begins his work by teaching you contentment with little, for he knows that if you cannot praise him over bread, you will not honor him over banquets. He whispers into the corners of your soul, "Can you bless my name when your pockets are empty? Can you sing when the cupboard is bare?" And when you answer yes, when you lift your voice in thanksgiving, not because of what you hold, but because of who he is, then, my child, you have passed the first test, for only a grateful heart can handle great riches. Do not despise the days of small beginnings. Those are the sacred classrooms of heaven. In those seasons when your hands reach and come back empty, your heart is being instructed. You are learning patience, you are learning discipline, and you are learning to lean on the everlasting arms. God does not want your spirit tied to the dollar. He wants it anchored in his word. For when the storm comes, it is not money that saves you. It is faith, it is trust. It is the peace that passes all understanding. Beloved, when God starts with the heart, he begins to prune away the weeds that choke your spirit. Pride, greed, jealousy. He uproots them one by one, and though the pruning may hurt, it is necessary. You cannot plant the seeds of destiny in soil still tangled with thorns. Every tear you shed in those lonely hours is watering the soil of your future. Every no you receive, every door that shuts in your face, is a tool in the hand of the divine gardener, tilling the ground so that wealth will not corrupt you when it comes. A millionaire in spirit is not measured by the shine of their watch, but by the shine of their character. It is the one who forgives when it would be easier to retaliate. It is the woman who shares her last coin with the neighbor and trusts that God will refill her jar. It is the man who kneels in prayer before he signs any contract. These are the wealthy ones in God's eyes, for their treasure is stored where moth cannot eat and thieves cannot steal. God whispers into your heart, "Before I make you rich in the eyes of man, I will make you rich in the eyes of heaven." He teaches you kindness when cruelty would be quicker. He teaches you generosity when selfishness seems safer. He teaches you integrity when compromise would bring faster gain. And as you learn these lessons, your heart becomes a treasury more valuable than any bank account. Children, let me tell you something. The hands can only hold what the heart can carry. That is why some inherit fortunes and lose them within years, while others start with nothing and leave legacies that bless generations. The difference is not in the hands, but in the heart. If your heart is rooted in righteousness, if it is tempered with humility, then every blessing placed in your hands will multiply. But if your heart is brittle with pride, the same blessings will shatter you. There is no shortcut to this kind of preparation. You cannot buy a purified heart. You cannot counterfeit a spirit shaped by God. You must walk through the fire of testing, the river of patience, the wilderness of waiting. And yet, oh, what beauty awaits you on the other side. When your heart has been made strong, when your spirit has been stretched wide, you will discover that abundance does not intoxicate you. It empowers you. You will be able to hold blessings without trembling, to give without fear, to rise without arrogance. This is why the Father begins within. He knows that your hands may touch silver and gold, but your heart will decide what you do with them. Will you hoard or will you share? Will you exalt yourself or will you lift others? Will you build monuments to your own name or will you build bridges to bless the world? These answers do not lie in your wallet, they lie in your heart. And so as you wait for God's promise of wealth in spirit and in life, ask Him not merely to enlarge your territory, but to enlarge your heart. Pray not only for financial increase, but for spiritual capacity. Say, Lord, make me patient enough to wait for your timing. Make me humble enough to carry success without pride. Make me generous enough to share freely, and wise enough to manage carefully. When you pray such prayers, heaven leans in to listen, for God knows that the one whose heart is prepared will never be destroyed by the blessings they receive. So, my dear ones, do not be dismayed when God delays the filling of your hands. He is not withholding, He is preparing. He is crafting within you a spirit too strong to be broken, a heart too rich to be emptied, a soul too anchored to be swept away. And when He is done, when your heart beats in rhythm with His will, He will open the windows of heaven and pour blessings that will not crush you but crown you. Yes, my beloved, when God begins His work, He begins with the heart. For only a heart shaped by His hands can hold the treasures of eternity and still remain free. And in that freedom you will find not just riches, but wealth beyond measure, peace, joy, love, and the holy honor of being trusted with His abundance. There comes a time, my beloved, when God stirs something within you that no man can quiet, no sleep can silence, no logic can dismiss. It is the holy seed of vision. When the Lord is preparing you for greatness, for wealth that surpasses mere coins and slips of paper, He begins by planting a vision inside your spirit. This vision is not like a fleeting daydream. It clings to you, wrestles with you, and calls to you even in the midnight hour. You may toss and turn upon your bed, but the vision will whisper still, you were made for more. You were born to rise higher. Vision is the language of destiny. Before the world sees the fruit, God shows you the seed. He pulls back the veil just enough for you to glimpse what could be, what must be, if you would but trust Him. And let me tell you, that glimpse is both a blessing and a burden. For once you have seen yourself through the eyes of God, you cannot go back to living small. You cannot be content with mediocrity once you have seen the mountaintop. When God gives you vision, He is not handing you a blueprint with every line drawn, every detail marked. No, He gives you flashes, sparks, holy hints that tug at your spirit. He gives you a dream too grand for your present means, a calling too vast for your current capacity. Why does He do this? Because vision must stretch you. If your dream fits neatly within your pocket, then it is not from God. But if it requires faith to pursue, courage to chase, and patience to endure, then, my child, you are standing in the glow of a divine vision. And yet vision will cost you. It may cost you sleep as you rise in the night to write what God has whispered. It may cost you friendships, as those who once walked with you can no longer understand the path you must take. It may cost you comfort, for vision never asks you to stay where you are, it pulls you into the unknown. But oh, what a holy cost it is, for every tear shed in the pursuit of vision is an offering laid before the altar of purpose. Think of Joseph, that dreamer with a coat of many colors. He saw visions of greatness, sheaves bowing down, stars bending in reverence. His family mocked him, his brothers despised him, yet the vision burned in his heart. Though he was thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, and chained in a dungeon, the vision did not die. It kept him alive, kept him faithful, kept him hopeful, until the day it came to pass. That is the power of vision. It survives the pit, the prison, and the pain. When God prepares you with vision, He is not only showing you where you are going, He is shaping who you must become. For vision requires discipline. You cannot run wild when you are carrying a dream. You cannot squander your energy when destiny waits on you. Vision teaches you to say no to distractions, to silence the noise, to walk away from temporary pleasures for eternal gains. Vision is not a plaything, it is a sacred trust. Beloved, vision also demands faith. It will not always make sense. The people around you may laugh. They may say, "How can you with so little dream of so much?" But remember, Noah built an ark without a single drop of rain on the horizon. Abraham left his homeland, not knowing where he was going, only that God had promised. Moses stood before a Red Sea with nothing but a staff. Each of them carried vision, and vision carried them. Do not despise your vision simply because it looks impossible. In fact, the impossibility is the proof of its divine origin. If you could achieve it on your own, then it would not require God. But when the dream is too large for your own strength, when the vision is too heavy for your own hands, then you must lean on the everlasting arms, and that is where the miracle unfolds. And let us not forget, vision is not given for selfish glory. God does not show you abundance so that you may hoard it. He reveals your future wealth so that you may bless nations, feed the hungry, clothe the poor, educate the children, and lift the broken. A true vision from God always carries within it a mission greater than yourself. If your dream ends with you, then it is not from heaven. But if it stretches to touch others, to heal, to serve, to uplift, then you are walking in the holy path of vision. Now, child, I must tell you, vision will not unfold overnight. You may see it in a flash, but you must walk it out step by step, year by year. The vision will test your patience, for God uses waiting as a tool of preparation. Do not rush ahead of His timing. A vision birthed too soon is as dangerous as a seed pulled from the soil before it has rooted. Trust the process. Water your vision with prayer. Nourish it with study. Protect it from naysayers. Believe in it even when the world does not. And one day, after seasons of labor and years of faith, you will look around and realize the vision has become life. What once was only in your spirit now stands before your eyes. What once was just a whisper in the night now sings loudly in the daylight. And you will remember the lonely hours, the sacrifices, the doubts you overcame. You will bow your head and say, "Surely this was the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes." So do not ignore the visions that stir within you. They are not accidents. They are not foolish whims. They are holy sparks of eternity placed inside your temporary vessel. When God gives you vision, He is entrusting you with a piece of His divine plan. Carry it with reverence. Pursue it with courage. Protect it with faith. For vision is the torch that lights your path to the destiny of becoming a millionaire in spirit and in life. And remember, beloved, vision is not given to the strong or the mighty alone. It is given to the willing, to the faithful, to those who dare to believe that God's word is greater than man's doubt. If He has shown it to you, He will bring it to pass. Hold the vision even when it feels heavy. For in due season, the very thing that keeps you awake at night will one day awaken the world to the glory of God through you. Discipline, my dear child, is the holy classroom where God prepares His chosen ones. Before He entrusts you with wealth, before He dresses you in abundance, He tests you with little things. He watches not how you behave when the table is overflowing, but how you walk when the cupboard is bare. He observes your choices not when the bank account is swollen, but when it is near empty. For discipline is the bridge between vision and fulfillment, between promise and possession. Without it, even the brightest dream crumbles like sand in the wind. God does not hand the treasures of eternity to those who cannot manage a seed. The scriptures tell us, "He that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much." That is heaven's principle, and it does not change. If you mishandle the little, your time, your words, your responsibilities, how can you handle the great? If you waste the single coin, how can God trust you with the millions? Discipline is not punishment. It is preparation. It is the shaping of your character, so that you may hold abundance without being destroyed by it. Look at the farmer. Before he gathers a harvest, he must first plant seeds. He must rise early, sweat in the field, and water diligently. He does not see fruit overnight, yet he does not abandon the soil. That is discipline. He trusts the process, though the evidence is unseen, and in due time the land rewards his consistency. Beloved, your life is no different. The blessings you desire require steady hands, a faithful heart, and a disciplined spirit. When God begins to cultivate discipline in you, he starts small. He may ask you to save a little, even when saving seems useless. He may nudge you to rise early and pray, though your body begs for sleep. He may whisper to you, turn off the noise and read my word, even while the world pulls at your attention. These small acts, these quiet obediences, are the foundation stones of greatness. They may seem insignificant, but they build the strength to handle what is to come. Do not despise these lessons, for they are holy tests. Consider David, that shepherd boy. Before he held the crown, he held a harp. Before he faced Goliath, he faced the lion and the bear. God trained his hands in the fields, where no one applauded, before he set him upon the throne, where nations watched. Discipline is often formed in secret places. You will not always be praised for it, but heaven sees, and heaven rewards. Discipline also means saying no. No to what tempts your flesh. No to what steals your focus. No to what drains your time. It is not easy to deny yourself, but self-denial is the soil in which self-mastery grows. Discipline is not about restriction, my dear one. It is about freedom. The disciplined soul is not bound by impulse, not enslaved by habit, not tossed by every passing wind. The disciplined soul can stand firm, can make choices aligned with destiny rather than desire. And let us speak plainly, money without discipline is a curse. How many have won fortunes only to lose them within years? How many have been lifted quickly only to fall violently? It was not the absence of wealth that destroyed them, it was the absence of discipline. But when God fashions a disciplined spirit, even little becomes much. Even in scarcity you will find stability. And when the flood of abundance comes, you will not drown, you will swim. Discipline is also patience dressed in action. It is the ability to keep moving forward, step by step, without rushing, without despairing. You may not see results today, but you keep working. You may not hear applause tomorrow, but you keep building. You may not taste victory next week, but you keep trusting. Discipline teaches you that greatness is not a single leap. It is a series of faithful steps. And hear me well, beloved, discipline is love. To discipline yourself is to love your future enough not to betray it for the comfort of today. To discipline yourself is to love God enough to honor his instruction even when it costs you. To discipline yourself is to love others enough to prepare so that when abundance comes, you can bless them without fear of loss. Discipline is the proof of love in action. There will be days when your flesh rebels, days when your mind whispers, "Why bother? No one is watching." On those days, remember this: God is watching. The one who formed you, the one who called you, the one who wrote your destiny, he is watching. And he is pleased every time you choose discipline over indulgence. Each act of restraint, each moment of focus, each step of obedience. These are jewels in your crown, unseen by men but celebrated in heaven. Child, if you would be a millionaire in spirit and in life, discipline is not optional, it is essential. The millions are not in the money, they are in the moments you master yourself. The millions are in the strength to say no to waste, yes to wisdom, no to doubt, yes to faith. The millions are in the unseen victories, choosing prayer over panic, diligence over laziness, generosity over greed. These victories compound like interest, multiplying until your life overflows with abundance. So rise each day with purpose. Treat each task, no matter how small, as holy training. If you sweep floors, sweep with excellence. If you count coins, count with integrity. If you speak, speak with truth. For the way you handle the little today will determine the way you handle the much tomorrow. And when at last God opens the floodgates of heaven, you will not be unprepared. Your hands will be steady. Your spirit will be strong. Your character will be worthy. Yes, beloved, discipline is not a chain but a key. It unlocks doors you never thought you would enter. It carries you from vision to fulfillment, from promise to possession. It is the unseen power that prepares you to hold wealth without being held by it. And when you have learned it, when you have walked faithfully in it, you will stand as a millionaire not only in the eyes of man but in the eyes of God. Rejection, my beloved, is one of God's strangest and most misunderstood gifts. At first touch, it feels like fire on the skin, sharp and stinging. It feels like the weight of the world pressing you down into the dust. But when heaven is preparing you for greatness, for wealth in spirit and life, rejection is not your enemy. It is your teacher, your sculptor, your sacred companion. It is the hand of the Almighty pulling you away from the wrong places, the wrong people, and the wrong purposes so that you may be set apart for destiny. When rejection visits you, it often does not knock politely at the door. It storms in uninvited. Friends you trusted walk away. Opportunities you prayed for dissolve before your eyes. Invitations you longed to receive are never sent. You may find yourself wondering, Lord, why do they not see me? Why am I always the one overlooked, dismissed, abandoned? And the heavens whisper softly, because you are not meant to fit there. You are not meant to be celebrated by those who cannot carry your crown. Oh, hear me well. Rejection is not always man's cruelty. Often, it is God's protection. When He sees where you are headed, He knows who cannot go with you. He knows which friendships will drain your spirit, which opportunities will chain your soul, which paths will lead to ruin. So in His mercy, He closes the door. He allows their eyes not to see your worth, their hearts not to welcome your presence. It feels like punishment, but it is preservation. It feels like abandonment, but it is alignment. Think of Joseph once more. His brothers rejected him, despised his dreams, cast him into a pit, and sold him into slavery. What could be harsher rejection than betrayal by one's own blood? Yet every step of rejection was a step toward his destiny. Had his brothers embraced him, he would never have found Egypt. Had he not been falsely accused and cast into prison, he would never have entered Pharaoh's palace. The stone that the builders rejected became the cornerstone. Joseph's rejection was the divine redirection that seated him upon a throne. And so it is with you. Each time rejection pierces your heart, ask not only, why, Lord, but also, where are you leading me, Lord? For rejection does not mean you are worthless. It means you are being repositioned. It means your value is too great for where you are now. You are being lifted from the familiar, so that you may be planted in the extraordinary. Do not despise the season of loneliness. It is in those quiet nights, when no one calls your name, that God calls you louder. It is in those empty rooms, when applause is absent, that you learn to hear the still small voice. Rejection clears the stage, so you may practice your lines for the role destiny has written for you. Without the noise of the crowd, you finally learn the rhythm of your own soul, the music of your own purpose. Rejection also purifies your motives. When you are overlooked by men, you must ask yourself, am I doing this for their praise or for His glory? When you are excluded from their table, you must remember, my seat is already reserved at His. Rejection strips you of pride, teaches you humility, and anchors your worth in the only one who cannot cast you aside. It teaches you to stop chasing validation in the eyes of others and to find your reflection in the eyes of God. And my child, I must tell you a holy secret. Those who reject you today may one day need the very gift they despised. Those who mocked you may return in need of your wisdom. Those who closed their doors may one day knock at yours. But by then rejection will have refined you, healed you, and taught you mercy. You will bless those who cursed you. You will feed those who starved you. You will extend kindness to those who turned away. For rejection, when surrendered to God, breeds not bitterness but compassion. Consider Jesus Himself, rejected by His own people, scorned by the very ones He came to save. The crowds who cheered Hosanna turned swiftly to cry, crucify Him. Yet His rejection upon the cross became the world's redemption. Out of the deepest wound came the greatest healing. Out of the cruelest dismissal came the most glorious victory. If the Son of God was rejected and still rose, then take courage, beloved, you too shall rise. Rejection is also the sharpening of your resilience. Every no you endure strengthens your ability to stand taller. Every slammed door trains you to knock with persistence on heaven's door. Every empty chair at your table makes room for angels unawares. Rejection toughens your skin but softens your heart if you let it. It teaches you not to crumble when people leave, not to faint when life denies you, but to trust that something greater is being prepared beyond your sight. Do not beg to be accepted where you were never meant to belong. Do not chase after people who cannot value the gift you carry. Do not cry too long over doors that are locked, for perhaps God Himself turned the key. Instead, lift your head and know that every rejection is an announcement from heaven. You are being set apart. You are chosen for more. So when the sting of rejection presses against your soul, breathe deep and remember this truth. Diamonds are not formed in comfort. They are born in pressure, in darkness, in hidden places where no eye admires their shine. And yet when they are revealed, their brilliance is undeniable. So it is with you. Your rejection is not the end of your story, it is the beginning of your unveiling. Rejoice then, my beloved, when others turn away. Rejoice when doors close, when invitations never arrive, when applause falls silent. For it is proof that God Himself is setting you apart, refining you, pruning you, aligning you. And when the appointed time comes, those very rejections will serve as testimony. You will stand in your wealth, wealth of spirit, wealth of life, and declare what man rejected, God has resurrected. What they denied, heaven supplied. What they cast aside, God lifted high. So let your rejection not make you bitter, but better. Let it not weaken you, but work you into strength. For rejection is not the end. It is divine redirection. And child, when God is preparing you to be a millionaire in spirit and in life, rejection is the mark upon your journey that says chosen, set apart, destined for greatness. There comes a season in a man's life, in a woman's life, when God whispers into the marrow of your bones, child, you must change the way you see yourself. It is not the whisper of the crowd, it is not the murmur of family or friend, but the holy resounding call of the Almighty that demands you to rise above the limitations of yesterday's thinking. For you see, wealth, true wealth, is never first counted in coins or carried in paper. It is first conceived in the quiet chambers of the mind. If your thoughts are chained to poverty, then no matter how much treasure is placed in your hands, it will slip away like water through open fingers. But if your thoughts are trained to abundance, if your heart dares to believe in overflow, then even the smallest seed will become a harvest too vast for your barns. Changing your mindset is not a small matter. It is a divine assignment. It is the uprooting of weeds planted long ago, words spoken over you that said you were not enough, experiences that scarred you into believing you were meant to struggle, teachings that preached limitation instead of liberation. God in His infinite mercy begins to press upon your soul a new truth. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And when you begin to think differently, you begin to live differently. A child raised to believe they are unworthy of greatness will cower when opportunity knocks. But when that same child hears the voice of heaven declaring, you are chosen, you are capable, you are destined for more, their back straightens, their eyes lift, and suddenly the door that once seemed heavy swings open with ease. The shift begins quietly. One morning you wake, and instead of saying, I cannot, you whisper, I can. Instead of complaining of lack, you begin to thank God for what is in your hands, however small it may seem. And that gratitude becomes the soil in which new blessings take root. Poverty of mind often speaks in the language of excuses, but abundance of mind sings in the chorus of possibilities. When God is preparing you to be a millionaire in spirit and in life, He first takes you through the refining fire of thought transformation. He challenges you to break patterns that generations before you may have embraced. He asks you to look at the world not through the dim candlelight of fear, but through the blazing sun of faith. I've seen it with my own eyes. People with little education, little background, little inheritance, but with a great vision inside them. And that vision, watered by faith and discipline, turned into a stream of wealth, that blessed not only their homes but entire communities. They did not wait for the world to tell them they were worthy. They believed it when God whispered it into their souls. You see, poverty is not simply a matter of money. It is a matter of perspective. A man who believes the world is barren will never plant seeds, and thus will never reap a harvest. But a man who believes in the fertile promise of tomorrow will sow even in hard ground, and in due season his barns will overflow. Changing the way you think is not comfortable. It means silencing voices that have long echoed in your mind. It means refusing to agree with fear, even when fear presents itself with facts. It means declaring, I am rich in purpose, I am rich in wisdom, I am rich in courage, and the riches of heaven will follow me into the earth. God trains your thoughts, because He knows your thoughts will shape your choices, and your choices will shape your destiny. To become a millionaire in spirit and in life, you must see yourself already seated at the table of plenty, even when your current meal is small. There is a dignity that rises up in those who shift their mindset. They no longer envy the success of others, for they know their time is coming. They no longer beg crumbs, for they understand they are heirs to the kingdom. They walk with a quiet confidence, not arrogance, but a peace that says, my Father owns the cattle on 1,000 hills, and He has promised to supply all my needs. That change in thought creates change in speech. You begin to speak life where you once spoke defeat. You begin to declare promises where you once repeated problems, and the world, listening to your words, begins to align with your faith. I must tell you, beloved, wealth without mindset is fleeting. How many men have inherited fortunes only to lose them because their minds were still shackled to lack? How many women have stumbled into opportunity but squandered it because their hearts were still bound to fear? But the one who has been transformed in thought cannot be robbed of wealth, because even if money leaves their hand, abundance remains in their spirit, and from that spirit wealth will come again. God desires to prepare you in this way. He does not want your blessing to destroy you. He wants your blessing to sustain you. So lift your thoughts